Hi students, today I am going to start the poetry. From poetry, third poem, Polonius advice to his son. Intermediate second year, from poetry, third poem is Polonius advice to his son. Polonius advice to his son. Here, this poem was written by William Shakespeare. All of you know about Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a greatest dramatist in the world, greatest poet in the world, and also greatest writer in the world. Shakespeare, all of you know. Polonius advice to his son. See the poem name, very important poem. From this poem, one annotation, one paragraph question will come from the examination. Polonius advice to his son. Here Polonius is giving a piece of advice to his son. This is the poem. Before we are going to discuss the poem, now I will start pre-reading. Parents constantly feel anxious about the welfare of their children. Nowadays, parents are continuously feel anxious about, tension about the welfare of their children. Welfare of their children, always feel about their children, welfare of their children. They believe that being experienced on several fronts, because parents are always believing that they have a lot of experience. They have the ability to guide youngsters. Here parents are always giving guidelines, some instructions to their children, to their youngsters. Recall the first day you attend the college. Please students, you recall, you remind first day you attended college, when you joined in the first year. Please recall, please remind that day what happens. Your parents probably advised you about the need to focus on your studies. When you entered the college in the first year, your parents approximately advised you about the need to focus on your studies, always giving advice. Please, my dear student, please always focus on your studies, study well, study good. They are always saying like that. Parents are always saying, please study well, please study good. They said on the first day of your college. Counseled you about the kind of friends you should make, and also they advised you, my dear children, my dear son, please make a friends, good friends, please make. But the kind of friends you should make, what kind of friends you have to choose, they told them. And warned you about the temptations you should avoid. And also, parents are giving some warnings. Don't get tension in the college. Don't feel tension in the college. Don't quarrel with your friends, like that. They told you. So let us read the advice given by Polonius to his son. Like that, here in this poem, advice given by Polonius. Here also in this poem, Polonius also advises to his son. as he is about to leave for France. Here Polonius' son is going to higher studies in France. Then Polonius gives his son a piece of advices. Those piece of advices, this is the poem. Now about the poet. Now we introduce our poet, Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, hailed as not of an age but of all times. Shakespeare was called not of an age but of all times. He was called. That is the greatness of Shakespeare. He was a genius. Shakespeare, not of an age but of all times. షేక్స్పియర్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే ఆ యుగమే కాదు ఇప్పటికి కూడా ఆయనే గొప్పవాడు అని చెప్తాం. బికాస్ దిస్ పోయం వాజ్ రిటన్ నియర్లీ 400 years back. Nearly 400 years back this poem was written. See here, 1564 and 1616 means 17th century. It was written. 400 years back this poem was written. చూడండి, సుమారుగా 400 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం రాసిన పద్యం ఈ పద్యం ఇప్పటికీ మనం చదువుకుంటున్నామంటే యూ అండర్స్టూడ్, ఇప్పటికే మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ద గ్రేట్నెస్ ఆఫ్ ద పోయం. Was born to John Shakespeare and Mary Hordent at Stratford upon Avon. Here Shakespeare parents were John Shakespeare, his father, and Mary Auden, his mother, and Stratford upon Avon, his place. He was born that place. Regarded as the greatest writer in English, Shakespeare was regarded. Here, he was a well-known writer, regarded as the greatest writer in English. Shakespeare wrote nearly 38 plays. He wrote nearly 38 plays. Plays means dramas. He wrote nearly 38 dramas. Between 1592 1612. Between 1592 1612 he wrote 38 plays. And also he wrote so many poems. And also he wrote so many sonnets. And also he wrote so many essays. And also he wrote so many short stories. That's why we called him greatest writer, greatest poet in the world. We called him. ఇప్పటికి మనం పిలుస్తున్నాం గొప్ప రచయిత. They include comedies like in his plays, in his dramas. Some comedies are there like The Merchant of Venice. Beautiful comedy written by Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, and Twelfth Night. And Twelfth Night, these are two comedies. Comedies means humorous stories, humorous writings, హాస్యాస్పదం గొల్పేవి. And also he wrote tragedies, not only comedies. He wrote tragedies like Othello and King Lear. Tragedies. What is the meaning of tragedy? Tragedy means ends with unhappiness. The play was ends with unhappiness, with sorrow, end with sorrow. That is called tragedy, Vishada Kathal. See here, different kinds of writings he wrote. He wrote comedies and also he wrote tragedies like Othello and King Lear. And he wrote historical dramas. And also Shakespeare wrote historical dramas like Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, historical dramas. And also Richard II. He wrote historical dramas. Dramas are Julius Caesar and Richard II. So like this, he wrote so many comedies, and also he wrote so many tragedies, and also he wrote historical dramas. Different kind of writer, different kind. He was popularly referred to as the Bard of Avon. So he was called Bard of Avon. Shakespeare was called. That's why he was called as not of an age but of all times. అందుకే అతని మనం ఒక యుగానికి చెందిన వ్యక్తి కాదు, అన్ని యుగాలకు ఇతడే ఉంటాడు అని చెప్తాం. Now here we will see about the poem. Introduce our poem. The present poem is a part of Shakespeare's popular tragedy Hamlet. Here Polonius advised to his son is a part of Shakespeare's popular tragedy Hamlet. Here Shakespeare wrote popular tragedy Hamlet. This poem was taken from Hamlet. It is a tragedy. Act 1, Scene 3. Lines 57 to 81 lines. So, Polonius' advice to his son is taken from Shakespeare's popular tragedy Hamlet. In Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. In those days, here tragedies or dramas are divided into acts and scenes. That's why here he was saying Shakespeare popular tragedy Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3, from lines 57 to 81. So we will continue this poem next video. Thank you.